Sadie Gurman and Alayna Treene join me now. Sadie is Justice Department reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and Alayna is a congressional reporter at Axios. Sadie, let's begin with you. So Bannon cited executive privilege at one point to avoid testifying to this January 6th committee, despite not working for the Trump administration since 2017. Then he said he'd be willing to talk to the committee. Why is the case moving forward if he's now willing to talk?
Well, this offer, this sort of last-minute 11th-hour offer to testify before the committee did absolutely nothing to move prosecutors. And if it moved them in any particular direction, it was, unfavorable to Bannon. They said that, this doesn't change the calculus, that the crime was committed when he refused to testify and provide documents the first time, and that the case should proceed ahead as planned. And that is what's happening. The judge in this case has kept them on a very tight schedule and has limited some of the defenses that Bannon can raise. So, this is really pulling out all the stops to try to delay this, but it hasn't worked.
Well, the committee's got a lot of things going on right now beyond Steve Bannon's testimony. We know they're investigating those deleted Secret Service text messages from January 5th and January 6th, 2021, that the Secret Service has indicated were erased as part of a scheduled phone upgrade. Does it seem likely the committee actually gets those messages?
Well, tomorrow is the deadline for the Secret Service to produce those messages. They've promised that they would, put them together and meet that deadline, but it remains to be seen. The Secret Service has said that while some of the text messages from this time period were deleted, it is said that none of the text messages that the Inspector General wanted for its January 6th investigation have been compromised. So I guess tomorrow will be really, the deadline to kind of see what they have and what they're able to share with the committee.
Feels like the committee is trying to call their bluff, Sadie, that you're saying that none of the pertinent messages were deleted, then give us the messages.
Right. Well, I think the committee has expressed some frustration with what they view as sort of competing allegations, both from the Inspector General and from the Secret Service in this case. And they just want to know what they have, what the Secret Service has. It is a pretty conspicuous date to be missing text messages, regardless of the reason. The Secret Service, as you noted, is playing a critical role in the January 6th committee's investigation and in its testimony that we've heard so far. So the committee is rightfully sort of angry that, they can't seem to get a straight answer from either side. And so tomorrow will be a test of that.
Alayna, I want to shift to you as the president comes back from that Mideast trip with some sagging approval ratings and a significant setback to what he'd hoped would be a big piece of his domestic agenda, now that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has defected on part of that agenda. What are Democrats hoping to pass before the summer session ends with such little time left, and will that factor into their midterm message?
Yeah, well, they don't have a lot that they can, put forward right now with those sagging approval numbers. And so what they're trying to do is see what in reality they can pass. We've been down this road with Joe Manchin before. Over the past several weeks, he's been chatting and meeting with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to see what, if any, parts of the broader Build Back Better package they could revive. And as of now, it looks like only a very small portion is what they're going to be aiming for. They're looking at expanding the Affordable Care Act and making sure that seniors and others can, still remain protected under those provisions, and then also looking at prescription drug prices and factoring that into a potential reconciliation package, which of course would only pass with 50 Democratic votes. It's a special budget tool that they use in the Senate, very wonky, but something that's very helpful to Democrats right now as they have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they only need a simple majority in the Senate to get this done. Other provision that they're looking at is also trying to revive some sort of what they're calling the USICA bill. It's the Chinese Competitive Act that they're using, to look at potentially combating competitiveness with China. And it looks like even though that bill passed last year in the Senate, they're trying to find a way to compromise now with the House, as well as broader Republicans. And it looks like they'll only be able to get a smaller portion of that bill as well, just the CHIPS part, which is really looking at helping invest in the semiconductor industry and supply chain issues, which is a huge issue right now within the country. And a lot of people think that bill could help, tamp down inflation, which has recently reached 9.1%.
Well, Alayna, you've also been reporting on the former president's first trip back here to Washington since his presidency ended. It's a big trip, could be a big moment. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, the former president has not been back in D.C. since he left office. So he's coming back to Washington on July 26th. That's next Tuesday. And he's delivering the keynote address at the America First Policy Institute's two-day retreat. So he'll be closing that out on Tuesday afternoon. And he comes at a really tough time. I mean, we're in the middle of the January 6 hearings. We've just been discussing that in this interview. They're having their potentially final interview, or potential final hearing on Thursday in prime time. But those hearings could be extended if the committee has more information. And it's really a politically volatile time for Donald Trump. It also comes as a lot of polls and Republican primary voters are saying that they're not so sure they want him as a potential nominee in 2024, and many have been pledging to actually abandon him if he does choose to run. So it's interesting to see. He'll be back with a lot of his friends and allies, many people who are in his administration, many of his cabinet members, some people in the House and the Senate, Republicans, who will be there alongside him during that two-day retreat and for his speech. And so I know many people are eager to meet with him after he hasn't been here for such a long time.
Timing's interesting. If the Steve Bannon trial goes a little longer, maybe a little longer than expected, could be the same day as a verdict in the Steve Bannon trial for former President Trump's first visit to D.C. Alayna Treene, Sadie Gurman, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.